I like to treat people as I'd like to be treated. When actors can get together and really collaborate, that it isn't just a vehicle for one person. And I think that was one of the strengths of it. I was surprised at the kind of success it had.
Many people know Tom Selleck as the legendary star with a signature mustache, a successful Hollywood career, and unforgettable roles that made him a household name. But long before fame and red carpets, Selleck faced a very different challenge while serving in the military during one of America's most turbulent eras. Few people know how close he came to a life-changing tragedy. But what really happened? How dangerous was the situation? And how did this experience shape the man he would later become? Vietnam War era and military obligations. During the 1960s and early 1970s, the United States was deeply involved in the Vietnam War. It was a difficult and controversial period in American history. The conflict affected millions of people, including young men who were required to serve in the military. Among those who came of age during this time was someone who would later become one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars. Before his fame and success, however, he faced the same military responsibilities and uncertainties that many young Americans experienced during the Vietnam War era. As tensions increased in Vietnam, the U.S. government needed more troops to support its military operations. To meet this demand, the Selective Service System, commonly known as the draft, was used to call eligible young men into military service. The draft became a major part of life for young Americans. Many college students received temporary deferments that delayed their military service while they completed their education. However, these deferments did not always guarantee that a person would avoid military duty. Young men often lived with uncertainty, knowing that they could be called to serve at any time. During this period, American society was divided over the Vietnam War. Some people believed the United States had a responsibility to fight in Vietnam to stop the spread of communism. Others questioned the purpose of the war and opposed sending American soldiers to fight so far from home. As the conflict continued and casualties increased, protests became common across the country. College campuses, city streets, and public spaces often became centers of demonstrations against the war. For young men like Tom Selleck, the political debates and public protests did not remove the reality of military obligations. Regardless of personal opinions, many individuals still had to fulfill their responsibilities when called upon. Military service was a serious commitment that could change the direction of a person's life. At the time, Tom Selleck was focused on his education and future career. He attended college and had interests that eventually led him toward acting. However, like many men of his generation, he could not ignore the possibility of military service. The Vietnam War touched nearly every aspect of American society, influencing families, schools, workplaces, and personal plans. Rather than being drafted into active combat duty, Selleck joined the California Army National Guard. His service allowed him to fulfill his military obligation while continuing to pursue his personal goals. He served from 1967 to 1973 with the 160 Infantry Regiment. His commitment required discipline, training, and dedication. Although he would later become famous for his work in television and film, his years in uniform played an important role in shaping his character. Military service during the Vietnam War era often demanded sacrifices. Many young men had to put education, careers, and personal ambitions on hold. Families worried about loved ones who might be sent overseas, and communities felt the impact of the conflict. Even those who served in reserve or National Guard units experienced the responsibilities and demands that came with military life. For Tom Selleck, serving in the National Guard provided valuable life lessons. The experience taught him discipline, responsibility, and perseverance. In interviews throughout his career, Selleck has spoken positively about his military experience and the influence it had on his development as a person. How was Selleck's humble background? Was it that of comfort? Let's find out. Tom Selleck's early life. Thomas William Selleck was born on January 29, 1945, in Detroit, Michigan, in the United States. He was the son of Robert Dean Selleck, a real estate investor and executive, and Martha Selleck, a homemaker. Tom grew up in a close-knit family with his siblings. His parents encouraged their children to work hard, respect others, and pursue their goals with determination. When Tom was still young, the Selleck family moved from Detroit to California. This move would have a major impact on his future because it exposed him to new opportunities and experiences. Growing up in California, Tom developed a love for sports and outdoor activities. He was tall, athletic, and energetic, qualities that helped him stand out among his peers. During his school years, Tom was known for being a good student and an excellent athlete. He participated in several sports and showed particular talent in basketball. His height and athletic ability made him a valuable member of his school teams. Sports taught him teamwork, self-discipline, and perseverance, lessons that would later prove useful in many areas of his life. After finishing high school, Tom enrolled at Los Angeles Valley College. He continued his education while focusing on basketball. His impressive performance on the court earned him attention and eventually helped him transfer to the University of Southern California. At the university, he received a basketball scholarship, which allowed him to continue both his studies and his athletic career. At the University of Southern California, Tom initially studied business administration. At that time, he had not yet planned on becoming an actor. His main focus was completing his education and building a stable future. However, life had other plans for him. One of his drama coaches noticed that he had a natural presence and suggested that he explore acting. This advice would eventually change the direction of his life. Even though acting opportunities began to appear, Tom remained committed to fulfilling his responsibilities. During the 1960s, the United States was heavily involved in the Vietnam War. Many young American men were either drafted into military service or chose to serve through reserve programs. Like countless others of his generation, Tom faced decisions about military duty during this period. Rather than avoiding service, Tom chose to join the California Army National Guard. His decision reflected the values he had learned from his family and upbringing. He believed in doing his duty and honoring his commitments. Joining the National Guard allowed him to serve his country while continuing to pursue his education and future career goals. Tom served in the California Army National Guard from 1967 to 1973. Military life was very different from college life and far removed from the entertainment industry that he would later enter. His training required physical fitness, discipline, and the ability to work effectively with others. The experience helped strengthen his character and taught him valuable lessons about responsibility and leadership. During his years in the National Guard, Tom balanced multiple responsibilities. He had to meet military obligations while also continuing to develop his personal and professional ambitions. This was not always easy, but it demonstrated his determination and strong work ethic. The discipline he learned during military service would remain with him throughout his career. Although many people today know Tom Selleck for his successful acting roles, his journey to fame was neither quick nor simple. Before becoming a household name, he spent years building a foundation based on education, athletics, family values, and military service. How did his career begin? Was he motivated by someone? Let's find out. Selleck's early career. Before becoming a famous television and movie star, Tom Selleck began gaining public attention through small appearances on television. One of his earliest television appearances came when he was a college student. In 1965, he appeared on the popular TV show The Dating Game. He returned to the show again in an episode that originally aired on January 28, 1967. During that episode, Selleck took part in the first game, while entertainer Bill Dana and radio personality Casey Kasem appeared in the second game. These early television appearances helped introduce him to viewers and gave him valuable experience in front of the camera. Not long afterward, Selleck started appearing in television commercials. He promoted a variety of products and gradually became a recognizable face in advertising. These commercial appearances helped him gain confidence and visibility, while he worked toward building a career in acting. As he continued pursuing acting opportunities, Selleck began landing small roles in movies. His early film work included brief appearances in several productions. One of these was Myra Breckinridge, where he had the opportunity to work on a set connected to famous actress Mae West, who personally invited him there. He also appeared in the medical thriller Coma and the drama film The 7 Minutes. Although these parts were small, they allowed him to gain experience and learn more about the film industry. During the 1970s, Selleck appeared in many television series, mini-series, and made-for-TV movies. While he was still searching for a major breakthrough role, he continued working steadily and building his reputation as a reliable performer. At the same time, he remained active in advertising. He became known as the face of Salem cigarettes and also promoted Revlon's Chaz cologne. These campaigns increased his public exposure and helped make him more familiar to audiences across the United States. Selleck also appeared in several other well-known commercials throughout the decade. In 1971, he promoted Right Guard deodorant. The following year, he appeared alongside actress Farrah Fawcett in a commercial for the aperitif Dubonnet. In 1977, he starred in an advertisement for Close-Up toothpaste. He was also featured in a 1972 commercial for Safeguard deodorant soap. These advertising jobs provided a steady source of work while he continued developing his acting career. In 1972, Selleck received a starring role in the low-budget film Daughters of Satan. Although the movie was not a major success, it gave him an opportunity to play a leading character and gain additional acting experience. During the same period, he also earned a recurring role as private investigator Lance White in the television series The Rockford Files. His appearances on the show helped him attract more attention from television audiences and industry professionals. Outside of acting, Selleck developed a strong passion for outdoor activities. He enjoyed spending time in nature and became skilled in shooting sports. He also built a collection of firearms and became known for his interest in marksmanship. These personal interests naturally connected with the rugged and independent characters he would later portray on screen. His love for the outdoors helped make him a strong choice for Western films. One of his first major cowboy roles came in 1979 when he played Orrin Sackett, a cowboy and frontier marshal in The Sacketts, which was based on stories by Louis L'Amour. In the film, he starred alongside actors Sam Elliott and Jeff Osterhage, as well as respected Western stars Glenn Ford and Ben Johnson. That same year, Selleck appeared in the Western-themed movie Concrete Cowboys with Jerry Reed. In 1982, he returned to the Western genre in The Shadow Riders, another adaptation of a Louis L'Amour story. Once again, he worked with Sam Elliott and Jeff Osterhage. Among his many Western films, Quigley Down Under became one of his most famous and widely remembered performances. His portrayal of a skilled sharpshooter won praise from many fans of the genre. Later, in 1997, he starred in Last Stand at Sabre River. His performance in that film earned him a prestigious Western Heritage Award, recognizing his contribution to Western entertainment and further strengthening his reputation as one of the leading actors associated with modern Western films. How did he break through? And when did it happen? Let's take a closer look. Selleck's breakthrough. Tom Selleck's major breakthrough came in 1980 when he was chosen to play Thomas Magnum in the TV series Magnum P.I. The show's producers would not allow him to take on other acting jobs at the same time. Because of this, he had to turn down the role of Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That role later went to Harrison Ford. At the time, filming for the Magnum P.I. pilot was delayed for more than 6 months because of a writer's strike. This delay meant he could have possibly taken both roles, but the opportunity did not work out that way. Before landing Magnum P.I., Selleck had already acted in 6 TV pilots that were never picked up by networks. In Magnum P.I., he played Thomas Magnum, a former U.S. Navy SEAL who had served in the Vietnam War. After his military service, Magnum worked in Naval Intelligence, a fictional version of a real U.S. Navy agency, before leaving the Navy to become a private investigator living in Hawaii. The show became a huge success and ran from 1980 to 1988, lasting 8 seasons and 163 episodes. During this time, Selleck became widely known for his thick mustache, his colorful Hawaiian shirts, his Detroit Tigers baseball cap, and his red Ferrari 308 GTS sports car. His performance was highly praised, and in 1984, he won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series. Magnum P.I. became one of the most popular hour-long shows ever in syndicated reruns, holding strong popularity for many years after it ended. In 1984, Selleck also appeared in public life when he introduced Nancy Reagan at the Republican National Convention. Around this time, he was offered the lead role in Baywatch, but he turned it down because he did not want to be labeled mainly as a sex symbol. The role later went to David Hasselhoff. While starring in Magnum P.I., Selleck also acted in several films. In 1984, he appeared in Lassiter as a thief in 1930s London, and in Runaway as a police detective who was afraid of heights. In 1987, he starred in 3 Men and a Baby, which became the highest-grossing film in the United States that year. He ended the 1980s with roles in Her Alibi and An Innocent Man in 1989. In 1990, he played a skilled American sharpshooter in the Australian western Quigley Down Under, a role he has often described as one of his favorites. During the 1990s, he continued acting in films such as 3 Men and a Little Lady, 1990, Mr. Baseball, 1992, Folks, 1992, Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, 1992, In and Out, 1997, and The Love Letter, 1999. In and Out, he played a gay character for the first time in his career. Selleck also worked in advertising, doing voiceover work for AT&T's 1993 You Will campaign, which imagined future technologies and asked what people might be able to do in the future with new inventions. In the mid-90s, he appeared on the popular TV show Friends as Richard Burke, an older ophthalmologist and Monica Geller's boyfriend. Their relationship was kept secret at first because of the age gap and Richard's friendship with Monica's parents. The relationship later ended because Richard did not want more children. Selleck's appearance on the show was originally seen by some advisors as a step backward in his career, but he chose to take the role anyway. His performance was well received, and he received an Emmy nomination in 2000 for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series. He also hosted a science-themed TV series called The Practical Guide to the Universe, where he explained topics about space, such as stars, planets, and galaxies. In 1998, he returned to regular TV acting in a CBS sitcom called The Closer, where he played Jack McLaren, a famous publicist running a new marketing company. Despite strong expectations and a well-known cast, the show did not attract high ratings and was canceled after 10 episodes. How was his private life? Did he raise a family? Let's take a closer look. Selleck's personal life. From 1971 to 1982, Tom Selleck was married to model Jacqueline Ray. During their marriage, he legally adopted her son, Kevin Shepard, who was born in 1966. Kevin later grew up and became a musician, working as the drummer for the American rock band Tonic. This period marked Selleck's first long-term family life as he balanced his early acting career with his responsibilities at home. After his first marriage ended, Selleck began a new chapter in his personal life. On August 7, 1987, he married Jilly Joan Mack, whom he had met while in Britain. Jilly Mack was born in 1957. Their relationship grew over time, and they eventually built a family together. The couple had one daughter, Hannah, who was born on December 16, 1988. Hannah became the center of their family life, and Selleck has often spoken about how important his role as a father is to him. Selleck has also described his religious background by saying he follows the Episcopalian faith. This reflects the Christian tradition he identifies with, though he does not often speak in detail about his personal beliefs in public. For many years, Selleck and his family have lived a quiet life in California. Their home is located near Thousand Oaks and Westlake Village, on a large 60-acre avocado ranch in Hidden Valley. This ranch was once owned by famous entertainer Dean Martin. Instead of living in a busy city environment, Selleck chose a more private and rural lifestyle. He has explained in interviews that he enjoys working on his ranch. He often spends his time outdoors doing physical tasks such as repairing roads, clearing bushes, and maintaining the land. He has said he prefers this kind of work over going to a gym. In his view, working outside keeps him active and allows him to stay physically fit while also enjoying nature. He also mentioned that doing the work himself is cheaper than hiring others, and he finds satisfaction in it. Selleck is known for avoiding modern communication tools. He has stated that he does not personally use text messages or email. This shows his preference for a simpler and more traditional way of staying in touch with others. In addition to acting and ranch life, Selleck has enjoyed sports throughout his life. He has played volleyball, both indoors and on the beach. He played as an outside hitter for the Outrigger Canoe Club in Honolulu. People who played with him, such as teammate Dennis Berg, described him as a dedicated and respectful teammate who worked hard whenever his acting schedule allowed. They also remembered that he enjoyed playing in front of large crowds during tournaments. Selleck is also a fan of ice hockey. He has attended games of the Los Angeles Kings and follows players such as Anze Kopitar and Alexander Frolov. Baseball has also been an important part of his life. He once had a minority ownership stake in the Detroit Tigers, the team he had loved since he was young. In 1986, while training with the team, he even hit a home run during batting practice. In 1991, while preparing for his role in the film Mr. Baseball, he trained with the Tigers during spring practice. He spent about 3 weeks practicing with them and even appeared briefly in an exhibition game against the Cincinnati Reds. During that game, he faced pitcher Tim Layana and managed to foul off 3 pitches before eventually striking out. He later said that this experience helped him understand baseball more deeply and improved his performance in the film. In 2009, Selleck took on a public role when he became the national spokesman for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund's Education Center project in Washington, D.C. This showed his support for honoring military veterans and preserving their history. Selleck also had a close friendship with actor James Garner. When Garner passed away in 2014, Selleck described him as both a mentor and a friend, saying he deeply missed him. Later, while working on the television series Blue Bloods, Selleck reflected on Garner's influence on his life and career. Did he face any legal tussle? What is it all about? Let's find out. Selleck water dispute. Tom Selleck was involved in a legal dispute with the Caleguas Municipal Water District over how water was used and moved between districts during a very serious drought in California. This drought was one of the driest periods ever recorded in the state, and water use was being closely watched and strictly controlled because there was not enough water for farms, homes, and communities. The issue began when it was claimed that about 1.4 million U.S. gallons of water, which is about 5.3 million liters, was transferred in a way that was not allowed. According to the complaint, this water was moved from the Caleguas Municipal Water District to the Hidden Valley Municipal Water District. Water districts are government-run systems that manage water supply in specific areas, and they usually have strict rules about how water can be shared or moved outside their boundaries. The main concern was that the water was used on Selleck's avocado farm. During drought conditions, water for farming becomes especially sensitive because agriculture uses large amounts of water, and officials often try to limit or monitor how much water is used for crops. Avocado trees in particular need steady irrigation, which can increase water demand during dry seasons. Because of this, the transfer of such a large amount of water raised questions from the water district about whether the rules had been followed correctly. As a result, the Caleguas Municipal Water District took legal action. They filed a lawsuit claiming that the water had been improperly moved and used. The goal of the lawsuit was to investigate the situation and recover costs connected to the suspected violation of water rules. The case focused not only on the amount of water involved, but also on whether proper permission and procedures had been followed before the water was transferred. Rather than going through a long court trial, the matter was eventually resolved through a settlement. A settlement is when both sides agree to end a legal dispute without a full court decision. In this case, Selleck agreed to pay $21,685.55 to the Caleguas Municipal Water District. This payment was not described as a fine for wrongdoing, but rather as compensation for expenses that the district had already spent during the case. The amount he paid matched the cost of hiring a private investigator. The water district had used a private investigator to look into the situation and gather information related to the water transfer. These investigative costs were part of the district's effort to understand whether any rules had been broken and to support their legal case. After the payment was made, the legal dispute was considered settled, meaning both sides agreed to close the case. However, there was no further court ruling or extended legal penalty reported beyond the settlement agreement. Was he involved in politics? What enticed him to get involved? Let's find out. Selleck's NRA involvement. Tom Selleck has been involved for many years with the National Rifle Association, often called the NRA. He once served on its board of directors and also acted as a public spokesman for the group. This means he helped represent the organization in public and supported its messages in interviews and events. Later, on September 18, 2018, he stepped down from the board, but he did not leave the organization completely. He remained a member even after resigning from the leadership role. Selleck's connection with the NRA also became more visible after the death of his close friend Charlton Heston. Heston had been a major spokesman for the organization, but he stepped away from that role in 2003. After that, Selleck took on a similar role and became one of the well-known public voices for the group. In 2002, Selleck made a donation of several firearms to the NRA. One of the most notable items he gave was the rifle he used in the film Quigley Down Under. This was a specially made, very heavy single-shot Sharps rifle from the year 1874, with a long barrel. Along with this rifle, he also donated 6 other guns that he had used in different movies. These weapons became part of a public display called Real Guns of Real Heroes, which is shown at the National Firearms Museum in Fairfax, Virginia. The exhibit shows real guns used in films by famous actors, connecting movie history with real firearms. Selleck's public support for the NRA has also led to some public debates and media attention. In 1999, he appeared on The Rosie O'Donnell Show while promoting his film The Love Letter. During the interview, the host, Rosie O'Donnell, asked him questions about his support for gun ownership and his involvement in an advertisement related to the NRA. The discussion became tense at times. At the end of the interview, Selleck said, "It's your show and you can talk about it after I leave," meaning he did not want to continue debating the issue on air after the interview ended. Later, Selleck spoke privately about the situation. He told journalist Sean Robinson that he still liked O'Donnell as a person, but he felt she was too quick to see disagreement as something bad. He suggested that people should try to stay calm and understand that having different opinions does not mean someone is evil or wrong. In the year 2000, Selleck also said in interviews that he has always been interested in politics. He described politics as something he finds very interesting and engaging to follow. Over the years, he has also appeared in television advertisements connected to National Review. At the same time, he has said that he also reads The New Republic, which often presents different political views. This shows that he does not limit himself to one side of political thinking. Tom Selleck has described himself as a registered independent voter rather than aligning with a single political party. He has also said that he holds many libertarian views, often expressing support for personal freedom and limited government involvement in certain areas. During the 2016 United States presidential election, Selleck chose not to support either major candidate, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Instead, he wrote in the name of former Dallas Police Department Chief David Brown. He said he was moved by Brown's calm leadership and strong behavior during the difficult time after the 2016 Dallas police shooting. People who have worked with Selleck have also spoken about how he approaches political and news topics. His co-star from Blue Bloods, Abigail Hawke, said that he usually keeps his opinions private. However, she explained that he tries to understand issues carefully by reading many different news sources. He does not rely on just one viewpoint. Instead, he compares reports from different political sides, studies the facts, and then forms his own conclusion based on what he learns. Selleck's public life shows a long history of involvement in political discussion, media debates, and support for organizations he believes in. At the same time, he is also described as someone who tries to stay informed by looking at many different opinions before making decisions. So, what do you think about Tom Selleck's situation during his military service in Vietnam? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.